Okay. Last class we started the introduction to the JavaScript. So now we'll start continuing the JavaScript with the what we left, where we left yesterday. To have a recap of the things what we learned yesterday, let's go to the. Okay. So what we learned in the last class is we explained you what you mean, how we are going to place the JavaScript in your HTML page, what you call, how you are going to embed your JavaScript code that I was telling you about last class. We said we'll be using one tag, what you call a script tag, we'll be using it. And whatever the JavaScript code is there, so that code I'll be writing in the opening script tag and the closing script tag. Now remember, we are learning the HTML, we are using the HTML5 standards, we are going to use it. So when I'm going to use the HTML5 standards, when I'm going to use, it is not necessary for you to specify the language. By default in HTML5, it understands that it is going to use JavaScript, it is going to use. So it's not necessary for me to specifically mention that I am using JavaScript. Okay, we said we have one command called document.write. That is a command. So what is the use of that command is, we said this command, we are going to use it whenever I want to print some message onto my web page. Now, when you want to have some message to be displayed on your web page, you are going to use the document.write. Or if I'm having some variable is there and its value has to be printed, okay, onto the screen, then so we are going to use document.write, and then so without the double quotes you are going to use. When I'm not going to put the things into double quotes, it will be taking as a variable name. If I'm putting the thing into the double quotes, that is what the first one in the line number 4. If I'm placing it something into the double quotes, then it will be treated as a message. That means whatever you are placed into double quotes, that will be printed as it is onto your web page. And if I'm putting something without the double quotes, it is treated as, it is assumed as a variable, and it will try to find the value of that variable. We'll discuss, yesterday we had the discussion on the variables and all. Again, we'll have a recap of the things of what is variable and all that stuff. Okay, then so simple example, let's say I want to print the message. Okay, hello Ravi, I want to print the message. Then what I'm doing is I'm writing that message into double quotes with the help of document.write. I'm writing it. Now remember, if I'm using the HTML tags, you're going to use it in your JavaScript, then that must be enclosed into double quotes. So without using the double quotes, I cannot have my HTML tags cannot be used. If you want to use the HTML tags, that tags must be enclosed into double quotes only. Without the double quotes, your HTML tags cannot be used for you. Now we said, so we have what you call this document object. What is the document object? We said document object is one, which is a predefined object for me in my JavaScript. So which is going to give an access to the page in which I'm working. Means whatever is there in your page, if you want to get the data, what is there in your page, then you're going to use the object called document object. You're going to use it. And using the document object, you can have the options like write, okay. All that, so many things are there. We'll discuss one by one, we'll discuss. Okay. So the code what we are writing it here, the script what I am writing it here, it's called the internal script. That is, the script belongs to this page, or you call it as an embedded script. That means the script is placed inside your Java, inside your HTML page. We said there is another method, what you call the external scripts, that we'll discuss little later. We'll discuss, okay. Yeah. So hopefully, so we are done this one. Up to this we are done. Now, let's go back now. So we talked about the variable concept. Now, what is this variable for me? Remember, a variable is like a place where you're going to store some information or what you call the data. Whenever I want some data to be stored, we are going to define the variables. Remember, variables are the containers for storing the data. So whenever you want to store some information or some data, when you talk about data, what is data? Let's say, for example, you are writing a program or you are writing a script for handling the students' total calculation, average calculation and all that. Then this, what you're talking about, the date, okay, the marks, what you are going to talk about, that is called the data there, or you call it an information there. Now, when I want to store this marks I want to store, then I'll be using the variables internally in my JavaScript. We are going to use what you call variables, will be using it. We'll take the examples and we discuss more on that stuff. Okay, now here what we are talking about, I've taken one simple example where I'm going to have my variable is going to be there. Okay, let's say for example, this one I have declared three variables. I have declared A, B, C. That means I'm having example, let us say you are having 3 containers are there. So where you can use these 3 containers for storing some data, or I'm having some 3 boxes are there, and into which each box I can put some data. I mean some elements are something I can put, some things I can put into that one. Like for example, one box you can use it for storing the apples, another box you can use it for storing the mangoes, another box you can use it for storing the oranges, like that. So different boxes I'm having it, like 3 variables I'm having it, 3 variables I can use it for storing 3 different types of data I can put into this one. Okay, so data is nothing but the, like example, marks, names, okay, or maybe it is a hall ticket number, or you talk about maybe it's a Aadhaar card ID, okay, or maybe your date of birth or something like that. That all these different types of information you call it as a data there, right? Okay, now when I'm talking about my variables, so we have to follow certain rules and regulations has to be followed whenever you're going to declare the variables. Now comes the question, what are the rules that I need to follow? It's a simple rule I need to follow. Like for example, let us say you're defining a human being name, you're defining. We don't follow any rules. Do we follow any rules when you're going to define a name for a human being? Let us say there is a small child has born. Okay, a child has born from in our home. So you take some, you follow certain rules for defining the name. Anybody will tell me what are the rules that we follow? Do we follow any rules? How the name should be, what is the starting alphabet, all that. Generally, if you are from a Hindu family, then what will happen is we define that, okay, these are the, I mean, the alphabet, I mean, the name should be starting with this alphabet or something like that you'll be talking about, right? Like that, when I'm defining some variables I'm going to define in my JavaScript, I need to follow certain rules has to be followed for the defining the names of the alphabet, I mean, the variable names. So what are those rules that will be following it? Now, for example, when I'm going to define my name for a variable, you can have the special symbols like dollar can be used. You can use the digits, you can make use of it. You can make use of letters, some letters like alphabets, A, B, C, D. Okay, that can be made use of. You can also use an underscore in between, but it is always advised not to use the underscore as a first character for me when I'm going to define the name for the variables. Remember, the another name we use for the variables, it's also called the identifier, we call it as. So what do you mean by identifier? Identifier is a word which you use for defining, it's a user defined name. The name that you are defining, it's called an identifier, it is called. Whenever I'm going to define my own names in my JavaScript, like example, variable name, I'm defining it. I have to follow these rules, I have to follow it. Now remember, the important thing is you should not use the spaces as a part of your name, okay? Yeah, and you're not supposed to use the special characters like uh, exclamatory mark, equal to symbol, I mean asterisk symbol, like this are not allowed for me. What are the symbols that are allowed for me? Only one special symbol that is allowed, it's going to be a dollar for me, it's allowed for me. You can also use digits, you can make use of, that is numbers you can make use of, you can make use of the alphabets, and you can also use the underscore. Except this, nothing is allowed for you as a part of the variable name, right? So that you have to remember. And always remember, it is it's a good practice to have, whenever you are going to define the variables, it's a good practice to have an underscore as a separating character when I'm having multiple words as a part of the name. Or what you can do is you can use variable name, start variable name always with a small letter, and if it is a combination of second word, for example, I'm having a name called my variable here, then it's better you have the next word, the starting of the next word is going to be a capital letter for us, right? Like, so this is a good practice. What you call it's a good coding practice we will be doing it. So that is always better you follow that rule, you need to follow it. And as we said that JavaScript is a case sensitive. So what do you mean by case sensitive? Like for example, I'm having an object we discussed called document. So when I want to print something onto the screen, I'll be using document.write, I'll be using it. So that document.write, when I'm writing it, it should be written only in small letters. If I'm writing in capital letters, JavaScript says that that is not identified, it says it, okay, right? So give I was telling you the rules for the variable names. Now, as we know that JavaScript itself is case sensitive, and the same in case of your variable names also. So let us take one example and check now. So I'll go to my Visual Studio Code. Okay, and then I'm, as usual, I'm trying to have my code there. Now I'm going to use the script tag. I'm going to use it. And then in the script tag, so I'll show the first one. So document.write, if I'm using it, okay, let us say, so we are going to write the message, welcome. Okay, sorry. So welcome to Huddle Rise, I'm writing. So this is the message I'm printing it. Okay, I'm using semicolon. Let's save this. So c2.html file. I'll go to my browser and then I'll open a file, c2.html file. I'll open it. Okay, and then I'll show the output. Now you got the welcome to Huddle Rise. Okay, now the same thing, let us say I'm writing this command. What is there? What you call the write command is there, right? So this command, I'll try to write it in capital letters. I'm writing it in capital letters now. Okay, now let's refresh. Now you see you are not getting any output there. Understood now? So when I'm using it in capital letters, I'll not get the output. When I'm using it in small letters, I'll get the output. Right? Understood what I'm telling? So I'm just undoing it, save it. Now you see when I'm going to have it small letters, you get the output. When I'm going to have capital letters, I'll not get the output there. Understood? Able to understand what I'm telling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us say I'm using capital letters. I'm using, that is, I made some mistake. I did it in my program, or what you call it in a script. I'm making small mistake. I have done it, but I'm not getting the output. I'm not getting here. Now comes a question: how do I debug it? What do you call it as? Error rectification. We call it as debugging. Means what? Error rectification. You have an error in your program or in your script. You are having some error is there, but I'm not getting the output. Why I'm not getting the output? I would like to know then. So what you can do is in your browser, we have something called console is going to be there. So there is something called console. We talked about where we can display the messages in the console in the last class, in the last session I was telling you. Now, okay. So there is something what you call console. In the console, it is going to show me the messages, where the messages are all going to be there. Just try to follow me now. Okay, I'm trying to follow you. Okay, just try to follow me. So this is my browser, right? So in my browser, I'm going to the right hand side of my browser. You'll see three dots are going to be there here, right? On the right hand side, you see the three dots. Now I'll just click on these three dots, and then in this one, I'm having an option called more tools, right? So you're able to see the more tools here. Then in this one, just come down a little bit there. So you see now what is something called the developer tools there. You see now everybody, you see the developer tools. Okay, now when I click on the developer tools, you see now it's going to show me what you call the developer tools is going to show me. As a part of the developer tools, you see now in the console, you see on the top there is a console there. Inside the console, the error is being given here. Uncaught type error, that is document.write. What you have written that capital letter right there. So it says it is not a function or it is not recognized in your JavaScript. You able to understand what I'm telling here? Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll explain. I'll show you once again. You just need to remember this, how we are going to do the debugging of your script, right? So I'm going to use this three dot symbol. That is what you call a menu, you call it as. So the three dot symbol, I'm going to use it inside this one. So I'm using something called the developer tools. You just go there. So we get the more tools. So in the more tools, we'll get developer tools. Now you remember this. There is something called Control Shift and J is there for me. Okay, Control Shift and J, I'm going to have it. Now remember this one. Okay, when I click on this one, tools, now you see that automatically on the top, you will be seeing now there is something called elements, console, sources, network, performance, something is there. So as a part of it, now you see that console is being highlighted here, indicating now it has opened your console now. So in this console, the error message is being displayed for you here. Now what is that error? It says, so what you are going to use this document.write is not a function, it says. See, it is going to tell me clearly what is the problem, you got it. Now where it is at, so what is the file name that you are used? c2.html, and then colon, it has given me 11 there. So 11 indicates it's a line number where exactly your error has been occurred, right? Where the error is, you will be coming to know that colon followed the 11 there. So let us see this. I'll do one thing. Okay, now I'll go back to my code. So in the code part, I'll check in the line number 11. See, this is the line number 11. So in this, what it says is there is an error, it says. Okay, that is the error it is going to show for me. That is, I'm using a capital letter right there. Now let us say that I'm not using the complete capital letters, I'm not using it. So I am using only one, the starting letter I'm writing is a capital letter. The rest I'm writing is small letters, I'm writing it. I'll just save it. Then I'll just try to refresh my page. Then also see that there is no output for me. So on the right hand side, you see what is happening there. It shows me the error is going to be showing for me here now. It says the uncaught error there. Okay. So document.write, it is showing me now first letter is capital, the rest are small letter. It's also not a function it shows for me. Right? Understood? Okay. I'll do one thing. I'll just close this. Okay, now I'm trying to use Control Shift and J. I'm using it. Sorry, yeah, Control Shift and J I have used, right? On my keyboard. You able to understand, right? So I'll just close this. I'm using Control Shift and J I have used. So when I press this Control Shift and J, you see automatically it is going to open the console for me. So this is my console, right? You'll see now the console is going to be shown for you. The error is going to show me. And this is the place where you're going to do what? Debugging of your code you're going to do. Debugging means error rectification we call. Bug means what? It's an error in a script is called a bug. Debugging means removing the error from the script is called debugging. Okay. So actually the word bug means it's some kind of insect for me in the bed. It's what you call, it's bed bug it is called basically. But in our programming, we call it as a bug. We call it as indicating there is something is wrong in your script there. So for that, what I need to do, I need to write a small letter W there, save it. Now I'll just refresh my page. So if I am using R, you can use Control plus R can also be used to reload your page. Right, when I'm going to reload my page, it's going to do the refreshment, it's going to do it, and you can see that the execution is going to be shown for you. Right. Okay, that's how you are going to do the debugging of your application. So let me use now how we are going to do the debugging of the application. So how to debug your application? So how to debug the application form. Application is nothing but my program here. Okay, now what we mean here is the program application, or what you call a program. Okay, or you call it as a script, right? So there is a difference there between program and a script. We'll have a discussion a little later. We'll discuss. We'll talk about the scripts first, and then we'll talk about the programs later. We'll talk about, right? Okay. Now, how we are going to do the debugging of my application? I'm going to do it. So then, so what I have done exactly? So I've gone to the console there. So how I'm going to open the debugger console. So you can use a debug console and you'll see the error there. And you'll see the error there. Now how I'm going to open my this? So one simple method is ctrl plus shift will be using it plus J you're going to use it. Control shift plus J you're going to use to open the console debugger. So when I open the debugger console there, it's going to show me my Control Shift and J. If I'm pressing, it will show me the console for me. So there you can see now a window will be there. So in that window, it will be showing all the errors. Okay, what are the errors are there in your script? Now remember, we said JavaScript is an interpreter. So what do you mean by interpreter? Interpreter shows only one error at a time for me. In case in my script there are 100 errors are there, it will not show all the 100 errors at once. It show only one error it will be showing it, and where the first error is there, it shows there and it stops, right? Then once you rectify that error, then it will show you again. If I run my script again, it will show me. So one more time, one more error, if any other errors are there, then it will be showing it. Otherwise it will be executing your script properly, it will be doing it, right? That's how you can debug of your applications can be done for you. So especially in case of your JavaScript, right? Or sometimes we can also use the debugging can also be used by using a right click, and then you can go for the option called the view page source. We have seen that one. Like if I want to know what is how the HTML code is being written and all that, if you want to know it, simply use the right click and then select the option called view page source. You select it, then it's going to show me how the code is being used. What are the code that you are written to generate that particular page? You can see there. Okay. Yeah. Right. Now, okay, there is a simple thing what you call the variable, sorry, the document dot write. Now I want to have some variable declaration to be done. So then what I do, I'll use a keyword called var. You can make it up a variable declaration, and you can say some variable I'm using called k there. I'm just writing k semicolon. Now, if I'm declaring just the variable, what happen is this variable will have a value called undefined. It will be having a value called the undefined for us. Now, what do you mean by the undefined value? Means you are not put any value into this one. By default, in your JavaScript, when you are declaring a variable, the variable will have an undefined value, we call it as, right? Okay. If I want to have some value, for example, I'm writing x is equal to 0, I'm writing, then what will happen? So this will have a numeric value. Okay, you call it as number. Numeric or number value will be there for me. Now, this what the data that you're going to put, or what you call the information that you're going to put, is how internally Java what it does is when I'm going to put some value into that or some information I'm going to put into that one, automatically it will be identifying what is the type of it. For example, I'm writing where x is equal to 0, I'm writing, it'll understand, okay, you are having an integer value into this one. If I'm writing somewhere some s is equal to, so I'm using double quotes, I'm writing, okay, so something like this, apple I'm writing, then JavaScript understand that you have placed a string into that one. String is what? It's a set of characters, we call it as. The set of characters is what you call string. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and now check what we are talking about. Now, whenever you're going to declare the variables, like we said, the naming conventions has to be followed, or what you call the naming rules you have to, sorry, not the convention, the rules that you have to follow is, it can start with an alphabet, it can start with an alphabet, or we can have the dollar symbol, or we can have underscore. But the best practice is not to use the underscore or dollar as a first letter. You can have the dollar or underscore can be used somewhere in the middle of your variable name, you can use it, but it is always advised is the good practice is not to start with the dollar or with the underscore. When you talk about these invalid names, that means the names which are not allowed. You cannot use the spaces, or you cannot make use of the special characters like question mark, okay, or you cannot start with the number as a first character. So those are the things that you need to talk about. Now, when I talk about these data types, right, the data type is what the based upon what the value you're going to put into that one, then what will happen is it's automatically it's going to define the data type, we call it as. Internally in your JavaScript, if I'm not defining any value, then it will be taken as an undefined value. We can also have the value can be having a variable called data is going to be of the called null. So for example, I'm writing where x is equal to null, I'm writing. So that means what? The variable will have some value, what you call null there. Remember, this null is a case sensitive, right? If I'm writing capital null, then what JavaScript will do is it will try to search for a variable called null, and then it will try to use it. Only if I'm writing small letter, then it will understand, okay, it's a null value for me. The data types are what? It's again a number data type, we have it. So for example, I'm writing where x is equal to 10, or I'm writing 10.23. So based upon your requirement, you can have a number with the decimal point, you can have it, or you can have a number without a decimal point also, you can have it. So we have the another data type called string there. So what is the string means? It is a set of characters, or when you say characters, it may be alphabets, numbers, maybe there's some special symbols. All those things are going to be put together, you call it as a string there. So in these set of characters, whatever are there, so those set of characters that has to be enclosed into double quotes, so you need to put them into double quotes, or you can use a single quotes can also be used to indicate that is a string for you, right? Now, when we talk about more about the data types in our JavaScript, the data types are again Boolean data type, we are having it. So when you say Boolean values, mean Boolean values are true and false. Remember, these true and false are case sensitive. We have to use it only as small letter true and small letter false. You have to use it. Then only it will be identifying as a data type for me. Otherwise, it will not be identifying as a data type. So it will be trying to use that one as a variable. Then we'll get the errors. We have another data type, what you call arrays, we call it as. We'll discuss what is exactly an array. I'll just briefly introduce you to the concept of arrays. We'll discuss now. We'll have the discussion little later. We'll be talking about the arrays there. Okay. Now when I talk about the arrays are nothing but it's a group of values, right? Or it's a set of values which you're going to use. Generally, we use the arrays when I have some set of values to be stored. For example, let us say you want to have marks in 6 subjects you want to store. Then what we do, we use a concept what we call arrays. When I'm using the concept called the arrays, then it'll allow me to have multiple values can be stored into one variable, and those values can be accessed using their index position. For example, let us say that you're going to have some cars is equal to something, you're writing it here. Then these values can be accessed by giving their index position, like cars of 0, cars of 1, cars of 2, like that we can use the index position, we can have it. Now let us not worry about more about this arrays part. We'll talk about the arrays at a little later stage, we'll talk about it. Now we have what you call the expressions are going to be there. What did these expressions mean? Expression is nothing but it's a combination of operators and operands, we call it. What are the operators? Operators are the one which performs some actions on the variables. For example, so let us say I'm having a plus is an operator for me. So what is the plus does? It is going to do the job of adding two values for me. It's a numerical, it's an arithmetic operator which is going to do the addition of two numbers. Like I'm having an one symbol, what you call multiplication symbol. Remember, we are going to use star symbol. You are going to use it. When I'm going to use the star symbol, it indicates that it's a multiplication operator. It's going to do the multiplication of values there. Right. Now, all this, the whole thing is called an expression. This is the whole thing is called an expression. Whereas now this x plus y is there, right? This is a sub expression. It's a smaller expression. So this 10 minus 1 is also, 10 minus a is also a smaller expression. The whole thing is said to be one expression. Or this part, so what I'm having is also called one expression for us. Right? Okay. Now, when we talk about the expressions, we said what expression is a combination of operators and operands. That means I'm having multiple operators are going to be there, and as well as multiple operands will be there. Operands are nothing but variables that may be variable or that may be the constant. You call it as a operands there. So like for example, x, y and a 10, they are the operands for me. So plus and minus are the minus, okay, and slash is there one more. It's called, okay. Now this slash is also there for me. So this, multiplication is there for me. So this multiplication is also called an operator there. Now, one has to know that when we are having multiple operands are there, and multiple operators are there, now these operators, they have a concept what you call the precedence of evaluation, we call it as. So evaluating how these expressions are going to be evaluated, there is a principle, there is a logic which is going to be followed, how these expressions has to be solved. Generally, when I'm going to write an expression, you might have learned in your basic mathematics when you are as a kid, okay, maybe in the class 6 or class 7 or class 8. So you might have heard about something called BODMAS, which we call it brackets, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. I think you have heard about that concept, what you call BODMAS concepts. You would have heard it. Now, what is this BODMAS mean? This BODMAS is it's a simple principle that we are going to use it for the evaluation of the expressions. Whenever I'm having some expression is there, so we said what expression? It's a combination of operators and operands. When I'm having multiple operators, that I'm using it. Now, how those operators has to be evaluated, that is going to be decided based upon the BODMAS principle. This is the basic mathematics what we have learned. The same thing is also going to be applied here in case of the normal expressions. It is, if I'm going to have the expressions like where I'm going to have the greater than symbol, less than symbol, there it is slightly different. It's going to be following. But here, when I'm going to talk about a simple mathematics, I'm using it, then it's going to use a simple principle called the BODMAS principle. It's going to use it. Now, when I'm talking about the BODMAS, now remember in case of the BODMAS, what it says, the first letter is B there. So that means the first preference is given for the brackets. Now, wherever you are using the brackets, first that part of the expression is going to be evaluated. Then after that, so it is going to give the next preferences given to the division or multiplication is going to give the preference. Then it's going to evaluate the division or multiplication is evaluated. Now comes a question how these expressions are going to be evaluated means these expressions are going to be evaluated from left to right for me. The expressions are evaluated from left to right. Now it means If I'm using both, okay, division is there and multiplication is there, then which is going to be solved first means, so division is going to be solved, then multiplication is going to be solved. So like that, the next preference is given to the addition and subtraction. So this is the simple logic that we'll be following it for your evaluating the expressions for me, right? Yeah. So as we said, the expressions are going to be evaluated from left to right for us. When you talk about the operators, these operators are classified into different types. So based upon the functionality, what they are going to do. For example, if I'm having an operator is there which is going to do the addition work or subtraction work, it is going to do it. I call it as an arithmetic operator. So let us say I'm having some operator there which is going to do the comparison of two values is going to do. I call them as a comparison operators, or I call them as a relational operators. So based upon what is the functionality the operator is going to perform, you're going to classify them into different types. You're going to classify them. For example, I'm having one operator called assignment operator. Simple equal to is there, right? So this simple equal to operator, we call it as the assignment operator. We call it as, that means assignment means it is going to put a value into some variable. It's called assignment operator. Now, whenever you talk about the assignment operator puts or it assigns a value to a variable. For example, I'm writing x equal to 5, I'm writing, that means what will happen? The value 5 will be stored into the variable called x for me there. Now remember, always when I'm going to use my equal to operator, it is going to evaluate what is there on the right hand side of the equal to operator, and then it's going to be assigned to the variable what is there for me on my left hand side, right? So that you need to remember. Or for example, let us say, as an example, I'm writing z is equal to x plus y, I'm writing. So what happened? First, the expression what is there on the right hand side is going to be evaluated, and then the result of the expression is going to be put into the variable called z there. We have different types of assignment operators. Like one, we have an operator called plus equal to is there. So what is this operator called plus equal to means? This operator called plus equal to, it is same as writing x plus is equal to y. So that means, so you are writing, so x is equal to, so x plus y you are writing. So if I want to write x equal to x plus y, if I want to write, instead of writing x equal to x plus y, we'll be writing in a shorthand, we'll be writing x plus is equal to y, you'll be writing it. Okay, that's called a shorthand operator. Some people call them as a shorthand operators, or some people call them as a compound operators. Why they are called the compound operators means, because they are performing two operations for me. Plus equal to, that means it is going to do the job of addition, and then it is also going to do the job of assigning the values. That's why it's called a compound operator. Like that, we have different types of compound operators or the assignment operators, basically, which will be helpful for you to assigning the values, right? Okay, you can make use of any of the operators can be made use of. Like I'm going to have an operator called slash equal to is going to be there. So what is this operator slash equal to means? It is same as writing x equal to x, x equal to x by y. If you want to write it, then you can write simply it as x slash equal to y. You'll be writing it like this. Then we have the simple mathematical operators. Instead of having the plus equal to what? It's a compound operator. It's going to do me two jobs. It is going to do. That is what? First, adding, and then it is going to do the job of assignment. Whereas we have simple arithmetic operators are going to be there, like plus, minus are there. So this plus operator, what it does, it's going to add the two numbers. It is going to add. So minus, it's going to do the job of subtraction like that. And we have one special operator is there, like double star is there. So double star is an operator which is going to do the activity of the exponential values calculation. For example, I want to calculate 2 to the power of 5, I want to calculate. Then how do I write? So I'll be writing two star symbols, and then one more star symbol, and then I'll be writing 5. So 2 double star 5, if I'm writing, it will be taken as 2 to the power of 5, it will be taking. It will be taking it as 2 power 5. So where the value is going to be as 32 for me. It's going to calculate 2 power 5. It is going to calculate. If you want to calculate 2 to the power of 5, you'll write 2 star star and 5 will be writing. That is going to do the calculation of the exponential value. That is a power m value. It is going to calculate for me. Then we have the operators like division operator. I'm having it what you call a slash. So we have the percentage operator. So where the percentage operator is called a modulus operator. So what is this modulus operator means? Before we talk about the modulus operator, so let us see the slash. So you write 10 by 3. So or you write it what we call as 10 slash 3 it is. So 10 slash 3 is what? The answer is maybe it is 3.33 like this. Okay. So you have the 3.33 is going to be there. So whereas when I'm writing 10, okay, I'm writing percentage 3, I'm writing it. Then the answer, what will be the answer for me is, it is 1 for me. Now how it is? So when I'm going to use this slash when I'm using it, so here it is going to give me the Q, that is the quotient. When I'm using this one, so here it is going to give me the remainder, it is going to give me. How it is exactly? So I'm writing 10. So this, when it is divided by 3, I'm going to have it. So it goes what? 3 times it goes for me. So it's 9 and then 1. So this one is my remainder. This is my Q. So that is what you see that when I'm using the slash, okay. Understood, no? Right, what I'm telling here. So when I'm using my slash, when I'm going to use this, so it is going to give me the quotient value. When I'm going to use the percentage, if I'm using it, then it is going to give me the remainder value, right? And very important thing is in your in your JavaScript, you need to remember it. So when I'm going to have 10 by 3, the answer is 3.333. The sorry, it's going to be 3 for me. But whereas when I'm writing 10.0 by 3, if I'm writing, it's going to give me 3.33. It's going to give us. Okay, this is something about your mathematical operators. So in addition to these operators, we are also having an operator called, so plus plus is there, which you call the increment operator. We also have the minus minus operator is going to be there. So minus minus is called the decrement operator. What this plus plus operator does means it adds a value to the variable, okay, and then it's going, when it adds a value means one value is going to be added to the variable. So when I'm using minus minus, a value is going to be decreased to the variable. That means it will be subtracting a value, it will be adding a value, and I'm going to use plus plus, right? Like that, two operators, plus plus and minus minus. Plus plus increments the value, minus minus decreases the value for us. We have the string operators. We'll discuss about the string operators little later. We'll talk about in the next class. We'll talk about. Okay. So we shall discuss now. Any questions are going to be there. We'll discuss about them and all. Okay. Yeah. So any questions here which you are not understood? Right? Any questions that you are not understood here? So I'll be writing document dot write. Okay. So I'll just say I declared a variable called k, right? I'll just say k variable value is equal to, I'm just trying to print. Now remember, if I'm not using inside the double quotes, then it will be treated as a variable. If I'm putting it inside the double quotes, then it's going to be considered as a message to be printed. That means its value will be printed as it is, right? Now remember, when I'm going to use this plus operator there, so plus operator, what it does is it's going to concatenate for me. What concatenation is going to do? That means it is going to do the job of joining, concatenation. So I'll just try to print the value of the variable called k there. Then in one more, okay, so I want to have one more line, I want to use it. I'll use the BR tag there. BR tag is used for me to move the to print the data in the next line. I'm using k variable. I'm using x variable there. I'm having one more variable called x there. Then x variable value is equal to x I'm printing. I have one more variable is there called s. Then I would like to print the value of that one also, s variable. Now let's save this. I'll go back to my program, execution environment, and then I'll just say fi I'm using it. Now you can see that it's going to print. Now if you observe there in the in this program what we are writing the code there, so we are used k there. K you have put in the double quotes now. So you observe it carefully here in the line number 15. So I have put the k into double quotes now. So when I'm putting it into double quotes, in the output you see that it's going to be displayed as it is. So the message is printed for me as it is there, right? So you're getting it what I'm telling there. So when I'm using now this, Now this one, what I'm talking about, this variable what I have placed in the double quotes I have used. Now in the output, what is happening? It is going to print me same k is going to be printed. So, but 1 minute. I'll just clear it off. Okay, fine. Yeah, I got it here. Once again, I got it. So this k variable is there, right? It is there for me inside this double quotes for me. You can see the double quotes there. It's going to start and it's going to end. So what happened? That k value is printed as it is. That is, it is taken as a message to be printed. But there is another k here outside the double quotes. Okay. So I'm using, so one more double quotes I'm using. So now what is the double, outside the double quotes I'm using this variable called k here. Now you see that in the output you're going to print the value of that variable is going to be displayed for me here. So that is what, if I'm not using, if I'm putting something outside the double quotes, it will be taken as a variable. If I'm putting it something inside the double quotes, it will be assumed as a message to be printed. Understood what I'm telling here? Okay. So like this, the same thing is going to be interpreted for this x variable also. It's going to interpret the same thing for the s variable also. So I'm using this s variable here. So then if you see in the output there, so it's going to print me the message there, apple. So then what I have done it, I put this message apple into this variable here, x is equal to apple I'm writing. So the same thing you can see in the output also, it's going to print me that, right? Okay. Yeah. So any questions? Any questions here? I'll just clear my drawings. Yeah. So any questions?
Sir, the